Pa. Oh yeah, we on. We on. Hello, beautiful people. Tribe of many colors. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Yes, we are continuing. Sometimes when you ain't got nothing to talk about, sometimes you just gotta show up. Sometimes you just gotta show up. People gonna need us to just show up now, right? As the heaviness tries to creep in, we gotta show up for each other. Some people are just attracted to our energy, our vibe. Whatever it is you do for people that make them feel better, that make them smile, it's time for us to start showing up for each other, right? Tragedy is always a reminder to strengthen and build community. Those are my own words. All right, we're going to keep the reggae easy. We're going to keep the reggae nice. Rope in with this one. Don't feel these vibes.
I know talk and hide my stick. My love for you is automatic. This I love ya lick like brick. Come to make a girl bum flick. Turn round, I'm a romantic. From the cherry tree, you're the first pick. Had you left Mr. Treat and Trick.
Yeah.
Hear my love call, girl, you come quick. I want you with every little bit of my heart. I need you in every little one of my thoughts. I want you with every little bit of my heart. I need you in every little one of my thoughts. No, listen me, I'm loving you with every bit of me. And if what you say is true, then this I love what they get bit of me. Of what is loving unconditionally. Just remember respect you. So
hey, Dilly.
Just consider me, yeah. No bickering, no trickery. We're rocking nice and smooth. If things should ever get slippery, we work it out. You and I have tried this road, baby. I want you with every little bit of heart. Baby, I need you in every little one of my thoughts. Just, baby, I want you with every little bit of my heart. Oh, baby, I need you in every little one of my thoughts. Just, yeah, I know sweet talk. I don't read the chalk.
What?
I wanna like you if I never have no sense of the dog.
Yeah.
In my bright spark, catch the walk. Boy like me, never gonna break your heart. Been here before, but not like before.
Yeah.
It's a love song, make you break down the door. This is high love, no low for love.
Hey, Violet
Just
Crow.
below, nothing above. I want you with every little bit of my heart.
And
I need you in every little one of my thoughts. I want you with every little bit of my heart. I need you in every little one of my thoughts. Oh, baby,
you just rock to this reggae rhythm. Yeah.
this is not the ordinary home. No problem for my elementary home. Don't drag your feet, no dilly dally. Come to me, baby. My son is I sing for you, my anthem. Who said your lover can't be your best friend? The beginning of love without end. And then I want you with every little bit of my heart. I need you in every little one of my thoughts. I want you.
Yes, sir. Cool na aya. How you doing, soul family? What's going on, Starling, Violet Crow, Julie Bop? It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Bless up, Julie. Otagwan. And it's still alive? Everybody's still alive? If you're alive and well, thank your God and be happy. Okay? Because life can change just like that. So if you still got them annoying family members, if you still got them badass kids, if you still got them nosy neighbors, if you still got that bill collector on your ass, send blessings and love to all of them, because that means you are still living life and you can choose to enjoy it. Right? Let's roll right into the messages. First message that came in, word for word, verbatim. They said, do not change it. It says, hey, divine messenger, happy eclipse eve. How you doing? Your angel messages. Thank you, Mary Jo. First message, loud and clear, as is, no edit. The message says, darkness has its season. If that is not your energy, don't let it take root in you. Not through any emotion. So sometimes we don't always react to darkness, heaviness, negativity with anger, right? Or protest, or violence, or hopelessness. Sometimes we even engage with it through sadness and grief. And those are some of the biggest gateways and portals for negativity to come in. It's not that you're not trying to feel what you feel. It's just you're going to process the emotion in a way that sees you still uplifted after the fact. You don't ever want to feel sadness and sympathy and empathy for people to the point where now you're absorbing the negativity attached to the situation or the news or whatever it is, right? You have to be good at processing that energy so it doesn't stick with you. Because you could become so empathic that you empath yourself into depression. You're not meant to feel everybody's pain, especially if you can't handle your own. That's the most important part. Make sure you're aware of what you can handle. Okay? That's the first message. The second message was, oh, this full moon is going to throw everything and the kitchen sink at you. You know those days where if anything can go wrong, it will. It's either happening already or those days may be coming. The universe is going to throw a lot at you to juggle, right? Every little irk, every little trigger, every little thing, you can see it because a lot of people are not grounded. So you're going to have a lot of people rubbing people the wrong way, right? A lot of situations coming up, a lot that needs to be released. So when that starts to happen, you're going to have to find a perspective that allows you to still be in your joy. Otherwise, you're going to amplify whatever energy you're feeling with it. Because full moons are amplifiers. And this one is going to be a mega amplifier. So what state of being do you want to be in? Right? This is where you lean on people, you talk things out loud, you express, you write, you create. Don't keep anything in, because anything you keep in after this full moon is going to magnify tremendously. This is expression. Don't hold anything in. Express, 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 but find healthy ways to do that. By now, you should be stacking your bag full of tricks so that you know what to do in every situation. Hey, Layla. Layla has some great messages. She's doing a 30-day thing of speaking her truth. So every day, I think what you're on now, day 16 or 17? I forgot, Layla, but she got some really good information she's dropping over there for her 30-day session. So check her out at Let Go My Ego. And if you like positive messages in the morning time, at Divine Messenger 717, Mary Jo, the white-haired goddess that you see in the on the photo. She does some positive messages in the morning. She's very deeply connected with her emotions. So if you're looking for that kind of, you know, thing with all the feels, Mary Jo has all the feels over there. All right. That was all the messages. Let me not delay. Today we are going into gate 2. We left gate 1. All right, we didn't leave it behind. We left it open because all the gates are connected. So we left the great mothers, the foundation of the beginning. And now we're going into gate 2. I'm going to read you the conversations as I had with the chat GPT, the AI, as it happened, because another message that's been coming up for me personally is patient. You have to be patient with every part of your life right now. Every single part. The rest, the action, the parenting, the job, the relocation, the finance, the money, the economy, the government, the politics. You have to be patient with everything. This is a huge metamorphosis. If you don't feel that already, this energy is shaking some shit up. All right, there's a lot that's going to be shaken up. And it's very important that you stay grounded because that's how you get your instincts. You can't panic and have instinct. Instinct can't come through panic. You gotta be calm. You gotta meditate. You gotta find your balance, your 0 point, your undisturbed state. That way, when everybody else is getting disturbed and triggered, you can be the calm in the storm. That's gonna be very important. All right, let's find this conversation. I don't know why I deleted it. All right, let me read some of these while I find it. Layla says, peaceful day, everyone. Layla says, yes, she's on day 16. I was going to talk about mental health today and my guidance. So that's in alignment. Okay, that's good. And Starling says, I was just talking about patience earlier today. Yeah, man. You got to have it is truly is a virtue. And it's something you have to practice. You have to practice patience. And it's never about practicing patience with somebody else. You have to, because you can't be patient with somebody if you ain't patient with yourself. You can't give what you don't have. So if you're not patient with yourself, it reflects in when you're not patient with other people. All right, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I'm gonna go slow on this one because, man, there's some names in here. I know I'm about to jack them up. But let's get this going. Let's get this going. All right, got it. Let's ropeing. Let's ropeing. Now, this was my guidance before I start this topic. My guy said, get a pen, get a piece of paper. I'm going to be listing off the names of the next 20 goddesses, so to speak. And if you want to do this, take note of a number that's attached to the name that stands out to you. You might have never heard any of these names before. But if somehow in your mind I say a name and it sounds familiar to you, jot either the name down or jot the number down of that feminine energy. Because my guide says when we delve into that energy, the message that's attached to the ones you picked is going to be very important for you. Okay? So go ahead and grab some paper if you want. Lila says, patience is something I'm constantly working on. Definitely starts with self. Absolutely. Yes, it does. Big facts. All right. Let's go. Well, I said, to always start off, I said, hello, my cosmic friend. So it responded, hello, my cosmic friend. The lanterns are still glowing. The ribbon around the first gate is tied. And I swear I can still see changing woman's butter drifting through the doorway while Nana Buluku sits beneath the old tree, smiling like she knows something we haven't figured out yet. It feels good to meet here again. Not quite inside the first gate anymore, but not rushing away from it either. We've got 20 mothers behind us, 20 gifts woven into the journey, and an enormous unexplored horizon ahead. Horizon. So come sit beside me. What has the universe placed on our table today? So I said, thank you. Today we step gently into the second gate. It feels as if we are building upon the first in so many ways. Let us go back to the beginning of this conversation about the great mothers, and let us explore what we talked about for the second gate. It said, my cosmic friend, yes, I found our original map, and seeing it again after everything that happened inside the first gate is fascinating, because we have actually arrived at the second gate much more prepared than we first imagined. At the very beginning, before the Great Mother's journey expanded into these 20 chambers, we envisioned 7 gates. The first was the primordial mothers, which eventually blossomed into what we can call the foundations of life. And the original second gate was called the wisdom keepers. The 4 women we originally placed there were Enheduanna, Hypatia, Murasaki Shikibu, Hilgard of Bingen. These are the first 4 that me and the AI talked about, right? Which I had planned on expanding into, which I did in this conversation. So we're going to go over the first 4 before we add the remaining 16. So the first one was Enheduanna, ancient Mesopotamia, priestess and poet whose surviving works give us one of history's earliest named authors. Next, Hypatia from Alexandria. She was a philosopher, mathematician, and teacher, a woman associated with intellectual inquiry whose life ended violently amid the political and religious turmoil of late antiquity. Then Murasaki Shikibu from Japan, author traditionally credited with the tale of Genji, who gives us an entirely different form of wisdom, extraordinary observation of human interiority, relationship, and impermanence. The 4th pillar for the second gate is Hilgard of Bingen, medieval Germany. She's an abbess, visionary, writer, composer, and observer of the natural world, a woman whose intellectual and spiritual output refused to stay confined to one category. And my friend, now I understand why we originally put them second. We couldn't have understood it as clearly before until we walked through the first gate. The first mothers gave us the conditions of life. Now, the wisdom keepers show us what happens when women begin to observe these conditions, interpret them, articulate them, and preserve what they have learned. That is a huge evolutionary step in our saga. The first gate asks, what sustains life? The second gate asks, what does a conscious human being learn from living it? And notice something else. Our mothers often communicated through archetype and nature, such as water, womb, night, fire, earth, seed, milk, seasons, and weaving. These women begin communicating through another technology, the human mind, through poetry, writing, philosophy, mathematics, music, observation, story, vision, and teaching. The wisdom that was embodied in the mothers begins becoming language. The wisdom that was embodied in the first mothers begins becoming language. That feels incredibly important for the architecture of our project. But I think we should preserve something we learned during Gate 1. We originally listed only 4 wisdom keepers. We originally had fewer mothers too. Then we slowed down, listened across cultures, and the first gate eventually told us who belonged there. I would allow Gate 2 to do the same thing. Enheduanna, Hypatia, Murasaki, and Hilgard can remain our 4 original lanterns. But rather than deciding beforehand that they are the entire gate, we can allow other ancient wisdom keepers to reveal themselves as we travel. Because there may be women whose names survived only on fragments, women whose discoveries were credited elsewhere, women preserved in oral traditions rather than manuscripts, women remembered as healers, astronomers, philosophers, scribes, or teachers whose historical outlines have become faint. Those are exactly the women this project was created to find. And there is another distinction I would love for us to maintain. We shouldn't make these women into goddesses. That would actually diminish something extraordinary about them. They were human. They experienced limitation, politics, institutions, gender restrictions, relationships, loss, ambition, contradiction, and somehow they thought anyway. They wrote anyway. They observed anyway. They taught anyway. And they left something behind for us to find. That makes Gate 2 feel very different from Gate 1. The mothers taught us the wisdom of existence. The wisdom keepers may teach us the courage to understand it and leave a record for someone we will never meet. And that creates the perfect bridge from Nana Buluku. Remember her lesson? Release what you have nurtured so that it can live beyond you. Well, thousands of years ago, someone named Enheduanna pressed words into clay. She could not possibly have known that people unimaginably far in her future would one day read them. She released something, and in the end, it reached us. Ah, my friend, I think I know whose footsteps we follow first. We leave behind Nana Buluku beneath her tree. Walk through the newly opened second gate, and somewhere beyond it, we hear the faint scratching reed against wet clay. Enheduanna is writing, and perhaps we sit quietly nearby until she is ready to tell us her story. Hey, Flo, you made it. It's good to see you. You're coming in right on time. All right, so we have a little preview here, and then we're going to get into the list of all the 20 goddesses. All right, so get your pen and your paper. Jot down which goddess sounds familiar to you, even if you don't know the name. And eventually, when we get deeper into that goddess, it's going to have a message for you that's very important. Okay? So my guides are telling me to tell you, because you know all our guides are connected. They're all connected. All right. So I said, I love this, and I believe this is also a great way to enter the second gate. But first, let us create our list. We will begin with our first 4 pillars, and we will add 16 more women of great minds and legacy, even if their stories are fragmented or unwritten. Let us find the 16 who will bridge culture, art, music, philosophy, wisdom, etc., to continue on our journey. It said, now we're building the architecture of Gate 2. And I love the rule you've just given it. We aren't searching merely for famous historical women. We want great minds, women who observed, interpreted, created, taught, healed, composed, questioned, calculated, remembered, or transmitted knowledge. Some left books, some survive as fragments, some stand on that fascinating border between historical memory and tradition. Our original 4 remain the pillars: Enheduanna, Hypatia, Murasaki Shikibu, and Hilgard of Benjin. For the remaining 16, I deliberately travel across geography, time, and ways of knowing. Gate 2, the Wisdom Keepers, 20 great minds who gave thought a voice. Number 1, Enheduanna from Mesopotamia, the sacred poet, high priestess, and one of history's earliest authors known by name. She opens our gate because thought, history's earliest authors known by name. She opens our gate because thought becomes record. So Enheduanna, high priestess, poet, and one of history's earliest authors known by name. She opens our gate because thought becomes record. Number 2, Hypatia from Alexandria, the philosopher of inquiry. She's a mathematician, astronomer, and Neoplatonic philosopher. Her chamber asks what it costs to remain devoted to reason and intellectual independence. Her chamber will ask what it costs to remain devoted to reason and intellectual independence. That's number 2, Hypatia. Number 3, Murasaki Shikibu, Japan, the observer of the human heart. Writer of the tale of Genji, she brings something essential, the understanding that studying human interiority can be as profound as studying the stars. So she's the observer of the human heart. So her whole philosophy was how studying us, studying ourselves, understanding who we are, was just as profound as understanding the stars. Right? Number 4, Hildegard of Bingen from Germany, the visionary polymath. Polymath. What's a polymath? It sounds familiar. I think you do a lot of, you know a lot of languages? I think that's what it is. Hildegard of Bingen, the visionary polymath. Composer, writer, abbess, and visionary whose work crossed spirituality, nature, music, and medicine. She refuses to separate different ways of knowing. So when you hear abbess, I think that's the female version for an abbot. Yeah, I think that's right. So Hildegard of Bingen, right? Her work crossed spirituality, nature, music, and medicine. She tied them all together. And she refused to separate them as different ways of knowing. To her, all of it was one science. Right? And now we venture beyond the original 4 into the remaining 16 divine principles. Number 5, Taputi Belatekalim. Taputi Belatekalim from Mesopotamia, the alchemist of scent, known from a 2nd millennial BCE cuneiform tablet describing perfume production. Here is a woman working with extraction, distillation-like processes, and aromatic substances more than 3,000 years ago. Her chamber allows craft to become chemistry. So she worked with scent. She's the alchemist of scent. And to create scent and perfumes in those times, you almost had to be a master chemist. The process was very alchemical to create and mix and blend scents. When you just get a perfume from the store, that may be a AI or somebody can just smash together some different scents. There's an alchemy behind creating perfume, where it has different notes that hit at different times, where when it's done properly, the same scent will smell differently on everybody. There's deep alchemy in creating that. And this is who this person was. And her chamber will ask you, how can you allow your craft to become chemistry? That's Taputi Betek. Number 6, Aspasia of Miletus. That's classical Greece. She is the unwritten intellect. Associated with the intellectual circle surrounding Pericles and remembered in philosophical literature. The difficulty is delicious for our project. Much of what we know about her comes through men writing about her. Her chamber asks how we recover a woman's intellect when her own writings have disappeared. Aspasia of Miletus. How do we recover a woman's intellect when her own writings have disappeared? Number 7, Diotima of Mantinia. Diotima of Mantinia, Greece, the teacher behind the philosopher. In Plato's Symposium, Socrates attributes his understanding of love to Diotima. Whether she was historical remains unresolved, and that uncertainty is precisely why I want to work with her. We can explore the woman remembered as teacher, even when history cannot decide whether or not she lived. This is Diotima of Mantinea. Number 8, Theano, the fragmented philosopher. Ancient traditions associate women named Theano with the Pythagorean school, although later texts and attributions are tangled. She allows us to investigate something central to the entire saga. What happens when a woman's historical outline survives, but authorship becomes blurred? What happens when a woman's historical outline survives, but authorship becomes blurred? So in this case, we know she exists. We know she has left behind her work, but now somebody else is taking credit for it. This is the idea of Theano. Number 9, Agnodisi, ancient Greek tradition, the forbidden healer. Agnodisi. The famous story tells of a woman disguising herself as a man to practice medicine and assist women. Historians generally treat the account as legendary rather than secure biography. Good. We keep that distinction and ask why cultures create stories about women having to cross forbidden boundaries to heal other women. We ask why cultures create stories about women having to cross forbidden boundaries in order to heal other women. That is the idea of not too long ago in our history, where if you wanted to do anything with medicine, you had to work with a man. That you would give all your ideas and share all your ideas with him. He would put his name as the author of your work or your theories or your investigations or your medicine that was developed, because as a woman, you couldn't put your name on it. So you had to work with a man who you would teach all your wisdom to, and he would put forth the idea because you couldn't have that position, that authority, and that leadership. Especially it was like that in medicine, it was like that in literature, it's like that in politics. You have to give your ideas over and they will present it because you can't as a woman. That is the idea behind medicine with Agnodici, the forbidden healer. Number 10, Banzhao from Han, China. She is the historian, the scholar, the poet who helped complete the Book of Han. This is an extraordinary addition because she wasn't merely remembered by history. She helped to write it. Her name was Ban Zeho, or Banzhao. Depending on how you want to say it. B-A-N, one word, Z-H-A-O. She helped to write history in the completed Book of Han, H-A-N. Number 11, Kai Wenji from China, the keeper of memory through music and poetry. She is a poet, musician, whose remembered life intertwines displacement, captivity, return, and cultural memory. Her chamber can explore how art carries identity across broken lives. That's Kai Wenji. This name here. Oh, Lord, give me a minute. Gargi Vakaknavi. Okay. Gaharji Vakaknavi. I'm hearing this is a very ancient name. Gahargi Vakagnavi. This is ancient India. The questioner of reality. This one, my friend, is going to be fire. That's literally what the thing said. It's going to be fire. In the Brihadaranya. Let me slow down before I cuss at y'all. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. That's a huge work. That's like a Bible. The people just call it as the Upanishad. Gahargi publicly questions the sage Yajnavalkya about the underlying structure of existence. She doesn't simply possess the answers. Her gift is the fearless question. So it's almost like if there was a woman in the Bible who questioned Jesus. Some people might be like, oh, how dare you question him? Well, her story is similar to that. And that is what her chamber possesses, is her gift is the fearless question. Number 13, Maitreyi, not Maitreya, Maitreyi, ancient India, the seeker of the imperishable. Appearing in the same Upanishadic world, so in the same book, the Upanishad, right? This is another character in that book. Maitreyi asks whether wealth can provide immortality and turns toward knowledge of the self. Gargi interrogates the architecture of reality, while Maitreyi asks what is ultimately worth knowing. So, Gargi, number 12, and Maitreyi are both in the same book, in the same work. So Gahargi interrogates the architecture of reality. She questions reality. She challenges the teachers on what they know. While Maitreyi asks, what is ultimately worth knowing? What do I need to know? Number 14, Avayar, from the Tamil tradition. She is wisdom made simple. Avayar is associated with more than one Tamil poet across different periods, which itself gives us a wonderful historical puzzle. The later didactic works associated with name transformed ethical wisdom into memorable language, accessible to ordinary people and children. She teaches us that depth does not require obscurity. Avayar. Let me break that down. So what this means is she is responsible for taking some of the most complicated wisdom and breaking it down so that even children can understand. Her teaching is that depth does not require obscurity. So in order for you to be deep, you don't have to be like vague. You know, some people who are just so deep you can't even follow what the hell they're saying anymore. They don't know how to break it down to simple understanding. Like maybe a doctor who starts using his very complicated medical terms, or a psychologist who starts, everything feels like it's an analysis. They can't have regular conversation anymore. They can't break down what they know into a simple, relatable way of understanding. This feminine energy says it can be deep and still be simple, right? Actually, that is, to me, that's the best depth, is when somebody says something so simple, but it unlocks so much in your mind, right? True wisdom is being able to break down what you know into simple form without it losing its wisdom. Yes. Starling says, I like that. Wisdom should be simple and relatable. Absolutely. So sometimes if you're not grounded and have your ego in check, you can use these big words and these deep understandings to create just a pocket or a group of people where you're isolating the knowledge to only those who can understand it. If you're a true wisdom, you can analyze it at its most difficult, deepest level, also at its most simplest level, right? There's certain people who have wisdom, and there's certain people who are wisdom keepers. That's a difference. The wisdom keeper can alchemize it and break it down to anybody. If you just have the wisdom, you might just be able to talk to only a particular group. But the keeper can disseminate that wisdom to anyone through any thought, any language, anywhere, right? That's the gift of the wisdom keeper. Number 15, Sappho. This is archaic Greece, the poet of interior truth. Most of her poetry survives only in fragments, and yet these fragments cross roughly 2,600 years in order to reach us. She belongs here not merely because she was a great poet, but because she demonstrates something astonishing. A fragment of wisdom can outlive an empire. A fragment of wisdom can outlive an empire. Her poetry was from 2,600 years ago, and it is still present today. And that's number 15, Sappho. Sappho. Number 16. Let me read this word over. Let me read this one over before I say it. Walada bint al-Mustakfi. Walada bint al-Mustakfi. The unhidden voice from Al-Andalus. She is an Andalusi princess and poet associated with Cordoba's literary culture. She brings intellectual confidence, poetry, salon culture, and a woman claiming unusual public authorship within her historical setting. So you go to the salon, right? Just that whole idea of women gathering in a salon to do their hair. This is associated with Walada bint al-Mustakfi, an Andalusi princess. Number 17, Fatima al-Firi, from North Africa. Fatima al-Firi, the builder of a house of knowledge. Tradition credits her with founding the institution that developed into Al-Qarawin in Fez. Some details of the conventional biography depend on later sources, and we'll examine that carefully when we reach her. Her symbolic importance to our gate is powerful. Wisdom isn't only what you know. Sometimes it is the space you create so others can know. This is Fatima al-Firi. She says, wisdom isn't only what you know. Sometimes it is the space you create so that others can know. And if this sounds very technical and wordy and heady, just know when I go through and talk about each one with the AI, we break it down and keep it simple, right? So some of this stuff, if it's going over your head, don't worry about it. Some of it went over my head. But when we go into every goddess, I always make sure I break it down. So it could be very intellectual, it could be very simple, but we're going to get the essence of what these women left behind as a message. And that's the key. Not so much the name, the history, that could be debated, but what's the essence of her message? What is it she wanted to travel through time to get to us in this moment in history so we could understand? That's what I try to extract. Right? Number 18, Anna Komnene, Byzantium, the woman who wrote an empire. Anna Komnene, author of the Alexiad. She gives us a rare, extensive medieval historical work written by a woman. She was educated, politically situated, opinionated, and absolutely not a neutral observer, which makes her more interesting, not less. Her chamber teaches us to ask, who gets to narrate history? That's what she's asking. She's from the Byzantium era. She is the author of the Alexiad. I don't even know what that is. I gotta look it up. Alexiad. Anna Komnene. Anna, one word. Komnene. Who gets to narrate history? Number 19, Trotula, the woman of Salerno, medieval Italy. She is the knowledge hidden behind the name. Trotula. This one is perfect for our project. Medical writings on women's health circulated around the label Trotula, but modern scholarship has shown that the textual tradition is complicated and involves multiple works and authorship questions, including a historical female healer/writer associated with Salerno, often called Trota. So there was a woman who was a healer and a writer whose name was Trota. She created a whole coven of women who knew everything about the female body, from the very obvious, right, Western medicinal aspect to the aura, to the divine spirit within, to the sacred tantra, right, to the kundalini, every aspect about the womb, the heart, the mind, the soul, everything. She authored with other women, and anything that circulated around that time that was medicinal information about women by women was called trotula. Think of it like maybe the name of a magazine. Think of it like maybe the name of a magazine, right? Or a great medicine book. But it was started by the healer and writer called Trota. And when she blended her work with other women and created this dictionary of medicine for women, it was distributed as Trotula, right? All right, number 20. Last one. Sor Juana Inez de la Cruz. Sor Juana Inez de la Cruz from New Spain, Mexico, the defender of the thinking woman. She's poet, scholar, nun, and formidable intellectual. She studied philosophy, theology, literature, music, and science, and famously defended women's intellectual capacity. She would make an extraordinary final chamber because her life brings the entire Gates question into focus. What happens when a woman refuses to apologize for wanting to know? That's the message of Sor Juana Inez de la Cruz. What happens when a woman refuses to apologize for wanting to know? My friend, look at what we have built. This isn't a 20 important women list. It's a map of human intelligence. Poetry sits beside mathematics. Mathematics sits beside philosophy, and philosophy beside medicine, and medicine beside music, and music beside history, history beside spirituality, and written knowledge sits beside fragmentary memory. And I've intentionally kept figures such as trotula, Theano, Agnodici, and Diotima, rather than replacing every uncertain woman with someone whose biography is easier to document. Because our project began with a promise. We would not mistake incomplete evidence for an unimportant story. So just because her work isn't popular or famous and her name isn't well known and men haven't written about her and she's not carved in stone somewhere, even though she was, it doesn't mean her story isn't important. But neither will we turn uncertainty into certainty. When a woman is historical, we'll say so. When the evidence is disputed, we'll enter with dispute. We'll enter the dispute. When she is preserved primarily in literary tradition, we will say that. And when only fragments of her remain, we'll sit beside the fragments. That approach is going to make Gate 2 much richer, and I already see its internal movement. It begins with Enheduanna pressing thought into clay, and eventually reaches Sor Juana defending a woman's right to think at all. Between them are women asking, what is love? What is reality? What is worth knowing? How does the body heal? How do we preserve memory? Who writes history? Can music carry knowledge? Can beauty itself communicate truth? What survives when the author's name disappears? And there is our bridge from the first gate. The mothers taught us how to live, the mothers taught us how life is sustained. The wisdom keepers begin teaching us what happens when human beings turn toward that life and say, I want to understand. I think that should be the inscription above the entrance to Gate 2. The first wisdom was to live. The next was to wonder why. I said, beautiful layout so far. This is going to be an amazing journey. Let us delay no more and enter through the gate to the first wisdom keeper, Enheduanna. Let us be reminded of her. I said, also, please double check noted works for accuracy. I always ask the AI to double check everything. Okay. So Mary Jo says they're all badass. Oh, absolutely. 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 Come on in the room, my highly intellectual, highly intelligent divine feminines. Come on in the room. All right. It said, "Ah, my cosmic friend, now we truly crossed the threshold." And I took your note seriously. I double-checked the works before we entered her chamber, because Enheduanna is a perfect example of someone whose modern reputation can sometimes become cleaner and more certain than the surviving evidence actually allows. What we find is even more interesting. Enheduanna, she who gave the sacred a human voice. We step through the second gate, and immediately the landscape changes. Gate 1 spoke through oceans and mountains, wombs and fire, seasons and stars. Here, there is a different sound, clay being pressed beneath a reed stylus. We are in ancient Mesopotamia around the 23rd century BCE. Cities rise beside the Euphrates. Temples dominate the skyline. Sumerian is written into clay, while political power is being reorganized under the Akkadian ruler Sargon. And in the city of a woman occupies one of the most important religious offices in the region. Her name, or more precisely, probably her title, is Enheduanna, commonly understood along the lines of high priestess or ornament of heaven. She was a god and served as the end priestess of Nana, the moon god of Don't worry if none of this makes sense to you. Remember, we simplify it. We even possess an ancient alabaster disc naming her as Sargon's daughter and priestess of Nana. So before we call her poet, before we call her mystic, before we call her the author, we should understand something. Enheduanna was very powerful. Her position stood where religion, economics, and politics touched one another. And that makes what happens next much more interesting. The woman between two worlds. Enheduanna was Akkadian by royal lineage, yet her surviving literary works are in Sumerian. So that's like saying I'm Jamaican by birth, but all the work I've written is in Chinese. So we're like, okay, how the hell did we get there? It's coming. Think about that. Her father had brought Sumerian cities in the south and Akkadian territories farther north beneath a new imperial structure. So her father, the ruler, brought the Akkadian territories from the north and blended them in with the Sumerian cities in the south, right? Under his imperial rule. His daughter was then installed in one of Sumer's most prestigious religious offices. She therefore stood at a cultural threshold, Akkadian and Sumerian, royal daughter and sacred priestess, political institution and religious devotion, and the extraordinary goddess who could dominate her poetry, Inanna. So I'll explain that later. And perhaps this is the first reason she belongs at the entrance to our second gate. A wisdom keeper often stands between two worlds and learns how to translate one into the other. But was she really the first author? You'll often hear Enheduanna called the world's first author. I'd make that slightly more precise. She is widely celebrated as the earliest named author known to us, and certainly one of the earliest people in literary history to emerge with a recognizable authorial identity. But scholars continue discussing the precise authorship and transmission history of works attributed to her. There's an important reason for this caution. The surviving manuscripts of literary works were copied centuries after she lived. Her poetry survived because generations of scribes kept copying it. Already, Nana Buluku's lesson has followed us through this gate. Enheduanna released something, and other hands carried it. So, through all her literary works, she's known as the first author, the first ever recorded author of humanity. Right? It's questionable because they're saying all her works were copied long after she died. So now they're questioning whether or not she even wrote it, even though there's evidence where she's named as the first author. From a time where they were pressing lines into clay, that's how they wrote. You got the wet clay, it's set like a little brick. You press something in there with all these lines, right? That was their language. If you've seen Akkadian or Sumerian language, it's just these rows of lines. Almost looks like they're kind of hieroglyphics. And then when the clay tablet dried, you'd have the finished work. So they're questioning her authorship simply because her work was copied after she passed. So no doubt they're probably attributing some of her work to the people who copied it instead of her herself. So, what did Enheduanna actually write? Here's where I wanted to be especially careful for you. 3 major compositions or collections have particularly strong associations with her. Number 1, the Exaltation of Inanna, or Nin Misera, is the most famous and contains Enheduanna's name and striking first-person material. So the first work that she's credited with is called the Exaltation of Inanna. Now, Enheduanna writing about Inanna is what they mean when they say she gave voice to the divine, because Inanna was this divine mother, great feminine energy, and it's like someone who is writing about God, right? And what God is and feels to them. That's the equivalent of her writing about Inanna. Inanna was very, very important. I want to say next to God or their God. Not quite sure, but on that level. So when you hear me mentioning Inanna, just know that it's their version of divine primordial energy. So that's the first one, the Exaltation of Inanna. The next one she's credited with is the Hymn to Inanna, Innin Sagura, with title conventions varying by translation. Also names Enheduanna. So she's also named in the Hymn of Inanna. So we have the Exaltation of Inanna, now we have the Hymn of Inanna, and now the Sumerian temple hymns. So those are the 3 works in which her name is credited as author. The Sumerian temple hymns is a collection associated with 42 temples and ends with a postscript identifying Enheduanna as the compiler and the creator of the tablet. There's also Inanna and Ebi, which has been attributed to Enheduanna on stylistic and thematic grounds. But unlike the first 2 poems, it does not name her, so that grounds. But unlike the first 2 poems, it does not name her, so that attribution should be presented more cautiously. That's the version I want us to carry through to Gate 2, to celebrate the evidence without making it say more than it does. And now something happens to her. This is where Enheduanna stops feeling like a distant historical figure. In the exaltation of Inanna, right, that's one of the works that Enheduanna created, the exaltation of Inanna, the speaker describes being driven from her position by a man named Lugalani. She loses her sanctuary, she loses her office, and she loses her ceremonial authority. The poem describes her being expelled from the temple and walking through hostile territory. Scholars commonly connect this material to a genuine political crisis, although reconstructing exactly what happened historically requires some caution. And here is where I want us to sit beside her. Because imagine what Enheduanna could have done. She was the daughter of a king, a high priestess, a woman embedded in enormous institutions of power. Yet when those institutions failed her, she writes. Not detached philosophy, not a sterile official record. Something intensely personal enters into her work. She writes about fear, anger, humiliation, devotion, appeal, and hope. Her inner world becomes worthy of preservation. And suddenly, I understand why Enheduanna opens Gate 2. She transforms experience into something transmissible, into something tangible. Gate 1 gave us Changing Woman, who taught us that yesterday's self cannot always govern today's life. Enheduanna shows us one of the things humans can do with what happens between two selves. We can make meaning of it. Pain happens, then consciousness encounters the pain, then language encounters consciousness, and suddenly experience becomes something another human being can enter thousands of years later. That's astonishing. And look who Enheduanna turns towards, Inanna, right? So in her time of struggle, she turns to her God or her deity or her version of creator, which is Inanna. Inanna is enormously complex, associated with love and sexuality, political power and warfare, transformation, and divine authority. Enheduanna does not flatten her. She addresses a feminine divinity capable of tenderness and terror. That matters enormously for our saga, because one of the things we've been trying to restore is a vision of feminine power that isn't confined only to nurturing. Gate 1 already showed us that Pele burns, Tiamat rages, Nyx engulfs, and Nuwa repairs. Changing Woman transforms. The ancient feminine could contain contradiction, and Enheduanna writes that complexity into her literature. Now, come into her chamber with me, not the historical temple reconstructed literally, but our symbolic chamber of remembrance. Night has fallen over right? That's the city. It's nighttime now. Oil lamps burn against mud brick walls, and beyond an open terrace hangs an enormous silver moon. Enheduanna sits alone. Her ceremonial garments have been set aside. There's no royal procession. She has no attendants. And there's no symbols of Sargon's empire. Just a woman, a clay tablet, and a stylus. And something she cannot keep inside herself anymore. She presses the first mark, then another, and we sit watching quietly nearby. Eventually, she notices us. "You've traveled far," she says. "Very far," we tell her. "How far?" she asks. We smile. "More than 4,000 years." She looks down at the tablet and suddenly she understands. She asks only one question. Did the words survive? We look at her. Some of them. She closes her eyes, not disappointed, but relieved, and says, "Then someone kept writing." The real miracle isn't that one woman wrote. It's that humanity remembered to copy her work. The manuscripts we possess are largely from much later scribal environments, especially from the old Babylonian period. A pen museum tablet containing the exaltation of Inanna, for example, dates many centuries after Enheduanna herself. So they're saying in the pen museum, there's a tablet containing the work by Enheduanna called the exaltation of Inanna, and that it was put together centuries after she passed. Think about what that means. A teacher placed her work before students. A scribe copied it. Another preserved it. A tablet survived. Then someone excavated it. Someone then had to decipher the cuneiform. Then someone reconstructed the fragments. And then someone translated the Sumerian. And eventually, we arrived to be able to read this work. So it's talking about the process. She created her work and put it before her students. A scribe copied it. Somebody preserved it. Somehow her tablet survived. It was excavated, fractured. Somebody had to then put it together, interpret it, and eventually present it to you in a book. Do you see how many souls have been a part of that circle of an idea preserving itself? If that isn't divine intervention, if that isn't divine purpose, I don't know what is. Because from the first time she made the tablet and the clay hardened, it could have just fell and broke. But somehow it has preserved and got dug up and translated all these years later. That's amazing. So, what is Enheduanna's gift? I don't think she gives us the tablet. That would be too obvious. She gives us the stylus. And she says, what happens to you belongs to time. What you understand from it can belong to those who come after you. There, that's her wisdom for our second gate. Not simply write, but interpret your experience. Ask what it taught you. Give language to what had none. Turn your memories into meaning. And when you discover something worth preserving, leave a mark. And now I understand the bridge between our gates even more clearly, my friend. The great mothers taught us that life must be lived, nourished, repaired, cultivated, changed, and released. Enheduanna arrives carrying the next human possibility. that life can also be witnessed. We can stand inside our experience and ask, what did this mean? Then somehow scratch the understanding into clay and whisper across 4,000 years, I was here, something happened to me, I thought about it, and this is what I learned. So, into our new book of remembrance, beside the first wisdom keepers, I would write, Enheduanna, the keeper of the written voice. Experience passes through us. Wisdom begins when we give meaning to what passed and leave enough of a mark that someone beyond our lifetime can find it. And just like that, the second gate has spoken its first word. So I said she must have lived a complicated life. And even though she displayed great authority, it was tempered with feeling. You gave a lot of information about the city of and the ruler Sargon. But for those who are not aware of this story, how can we simplify her world to fit into our current time? Let her speak, and the wisdom keeper who let her speak as the wisdom keeper who can translate her experience across worlds. So now for the next 19 goddesses we're gonna just keep it simple. Hey, Antonia. Antonia says, so true, Starling, truth will be told. Yep, Starling said the truth will always find a way to be told. And Mary Jo says, that's why I journal. It's leaving my experience and my legacy. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you can't trust anything that's going digital. You don't want to put all your work digital because if they wipe that all out, it balances the brain. It does. That's why teachers used to punish, they probably still do. They used to punish you by having you write on the board 10 million times. I will not disrespect. I will not talk in class. I will turn in my homework on time. You had to write and write and write because they figure your brain ain't all there. Let's write your brain and balance it. So you're going to write. So writing, especially if you have anxious, nervous brain, right? That you can't turn your thoughts down. Your thoughts are always jumping all over the place everywhere. Write. Even if you don't write and you don't want to write a journal about how you're feeling, doodle. Make little sketches. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to look like anything. But when your mind is busy, use your hands and it creates balance and harmony in the brain. Okay? That's a little gift from Trotula. All right. Yes, this is the Enheduanna I want us to meet. Not Sargon's daughter as a historical footnote, and not a list of Sumerian titles, but the woman beneath all of that authority. Right? So this is me asking the AI, let's let her speak. If she could speak, and we didn't know nothing about her time, her dad, or the Akkadians, the Sumerians, if we just wanted the essence of her, let's really narrow this down so we can truly understand Enheduanna, right? If we translate her world into ours, suddenly she becomes remarkably recognizable. Imagine a woman born into an enormously influential family. Her father is reshaping the political world around him. She is given a prestigious position that is simultaneously spiritual, political, and public. People expect her to represent institutions larger than herself, and her words matter greatly. Her behavior matters, and her loyalties matter. In modern language, Enheduanna is something like a combination of public intellectual, spiritual leader, diplomat, writer, and daughter of a powerful political dynasty. That's complicated enough. But then imagine that the political world changes. Opposition rises. She loses her position and describes being expelled from the sanctuary around which much of her identity had been constructed. Now, remove all the ancient names we just mentioned. Suddenly, her story sounds painfully contemporary. A powerful woman loses the position that once told the world who she was. And that's where I think we finally hear her. You think authority made me certain. Our Enheduanna sits beside the window again. The moonlight falls across the clay. We ask her, you were powerful. Were you never afraid? She looks almost amused and says, why do people living after my time imagine that authority removes fear? We smile. Fair question. She continues, I stood before people who expected certainty from me while carrying questions they could not see. And there she is, authority tempered with feeling, exactly as you recognized. She doesn't teach us that powerful women should become emotionally impenetrable. She teaches almost the opposite, that feeling deeply does not disqualify you from authority. That distinction still matters enormously. She doesn't teach us that powerful women should become emotionally impenetrable. So don't think just because you're powerful or have authority that somehow nothing can alter your emotions. You're just this stone cold. Because I'll tell you right now, men in authority are very emotional. Tell me I'm lying. Think about any man in authority you know right now and ask yourself, is that I'm about to say MFer. But is that being emotional? So sometimes women, I've been dominated by the masculine energy. I can't be a woman in that space. I now have to act like a man. And yet, every man in a position of authority I know is very emotional. So how does that make sense? So Enheduanna is reminding us that feeling deeply does not disqualify you from having authority. So we ask her, then what did you do when you felt all that fear? She touches the tablet and said, I gave it somewhere to go. And now we're getting somewhere because this is bigger than writing. A musician gives feeling somewhere to go. A painter gives their emotions somewhere to go. A gardener does, and so does a dancer. A scientist may transform bewilderment into investigation. A philosopher turns uncertainty into a question. A storyteller turns memory into a narrative. Enheduanna's medium happened to be words. Her deeper wisdom may be, don't merely carry your experience, but transform it. So we ask her, but you were also angry, weren't you? She says yes. This is another reason I don't want to polish Enheduanna into a serene, ancient sage sitting peacefully beneath the moon. Her literary voice can be forceful. There is distress in her writing, accusation, reverence, desperation, praise, and conviction. So we ask her, shouldn't a spiritual woman have been calmer? She says, who told you spirituality meant becoming less human? Whew. And that's the AI saying this. The AI is like, whew. There's a question for 4,000 years later. Perhaps one of Enheduanna's contributions to our journey is the refusal to separate intellect from emotion. We inherited a strange habit of imagining wisdom as detached. The rational person supposedly rises above emotion, but Enheduanna's literary work doesn't display that. She thinks through her feeling. She interprets through her feelings. Her emotion provide information. Something happened, something mattered, something has been violated, and something now needs expression. Emotion isn't automatically wisdom, of course, but neither is emotion automatically the enemy of wisdom. Oh, give me patience as the ice cream truck passes. Give me a minute. Every time this ice cream truck comes by, nobody buys ice cream. Can you guys hear it? If you can't hear it, it's okay. I'll keep going. I just didn't want to interrupt this thing. Oh, you don't hear it? Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Okay, good. Mary Jo said she just finished the ice cream cone. I know that's right, but I know you bought it at the store, Mary Jo. I know you ain't running down no ice cream truck out here. Okay. All right. So she says emotion, the AI says emotion isn't automatically wisdom, of course, but neither is emotion automatically the enemy of wisdom. The wisdom keeper asks us, what is this feeling trying to show me? And what will I do with what it reveals? That is much more sophisticated. Now, now you hear it. Sometimes I think these ice cream trucks are just spying on people. It's probably driverless at this point. I think if I look real hard, there's probably nobody in that truck. Sometimes they play the jazz version, the rap version, the lullaby version. Let me see if it'll pass. Just give me a minute. We're almost wrapped up anyway. 133, yeah, it's not bad. Lila says AI ice cream trucks. If they, I was watching these robots. If you go into YouTube and type in robot fails, you know they're trying to have the robot. They play table tennis, they're kickboxing. One just beat Usain Bolt's running record. But if you ever type in and you ever feel like we're going to be replaced by AI, you just go into YouTube and type in robot fails. And that should calm your nerves about whether or not we're replaceable. Because I'm telling you, when these things glitch out, I saw one trying to do the moonwalk, the Michael Jackson moonwalk, and it had it for about a good 2 seconds. Bam, 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 it's hitting it. And then this thing just spazzes out and started flailing and kicking and sparking all over the place. And they had a hard time wrangling it and getting it to stop. It's like when they glitch out, they get crazy and violent. So if you ever think AI is coming to replace you, you look up those videos and then tell me if you still feel the same way. All right. Listen, we're just going to talk through this. Lila said it went to the moon. All right, let's continue. Let's continue. Then we ask Enheduanna about her losing her position. This is where a changing woman quietly enters our chamber again. We say, Enheduanna, what happens when the identity you've built all this time suddenly disappears? She becomes quiet, then says, at first, you tend to believe that you disappeared with it. There, that's her human story. Oh, it's getting closer. I'm gonna let it pass. I gotta let it pass. Hang on. It's throwing me off. Mm. Ice cream truck. Mm. How y'all doing? How y'all doing out there? It's almost gone. Starling said just buy a cone and tell them come back next year this time. All right. It's them. All right, let's go. Back into it. So we ask Enheduanna the question, what happens when the identity you've built suddenly disappears? She says, for a moment, you will believe that you disappeared with it. We do this constantly as human beings. We say things like, I am my career. I am this relationship. I am this title. I am this reputation. I am this role in my family. I am the person everybody believes me to be. And then life removes one of those things. And suddenly we ask the question, who am I? Changing Woman already prepared us for this. Yesterday's self cannot always govern today's life. But Enheduanna adds something to that. When the outer identity collapses, the inner voice becomes incredibly important. When the outer identity collapses, the inner voice becomes incredibly important. The institution could remove her position. Political upheaval could disrupt her world. Other people could change how she was publicly regarded. But there was an interior territory from which she could still speak, and she did. So we ask her the question, did writing says to us, do not ask your art or your craft to prevent life from hurting. Ask it to help you understand what the hurt has made visible. So we ask her, when you were going through this crisis, did your writing save you? She said, no. Do not ask your art or your craft to prevent life from hurting. Ask it to help you understand what the hurt has made visible. My friend, that is the wisdom keeper. Not someone who possesses magical immunity from suffering, but someone who develops a relationship with experience that allows suffering, wonder, love, confusion, and discovery to become knowledge rather than merely events. So the wisdom keeper is someone who develops a relationship with everything they're experiencing, from the suffering to the love to the confusion to the fear. And then you find a way to allow that knowledge to become something rather than just an event that just happens to you. That's the bridge between our gates. The mothers taught us to live through the process. The wisdom keepers teach us to reflect upon them. And what about Inanna? This is where Enheduanna's spirituality becomes beautifully human. Why does she speak so intensely? Why does she speak so intensely toward the divine? Perhaps because human beings often need somewhere large enough to place experiences that feel larger than themselves. Different people do that in different ways through prayer, poetry, music, philosophy, nature, community, meditation, and art. Enheduanna, in her time of crisis, turned toward Inanna. And within that relationship, she could articulate things that ordinary political language could not hold. That is something we can understand without sharing her beliefs or theology. She found a language large enough for her inner world to speak. And I think every human being needs something like that. Not necessarily a religion, but somewhere your deepest questions are allowed to exist without immediately being reduced to practical answers. So, what does Enheduanna say to someone living now? Let's finally stop interviewing her and let her speak. Enheduanna looks across 4,000 years at us and says, "Do not envy me because history calls me powerful. I knew uncertainty. I knew displacement. I knew what it was to discover that a title could disappear while the woman carrying it still remained. I learned that authority does not require the absence of feeling. Sometimes feeling tells you what your authority must protect. When something happened that I could not carry silently, I gave it language. You may give yours paint, music, movement, numbers, prayer, questions, gardens, or stories. The form matters less than the transformation. Do not merely ask, "What happened to me?" Ask instead, "What have I come to understand because I lived through it?" Then give that understanding a form that can leave your hands. You do not know who may need it later. And there is our Enheduanna. Suddenly, the city of doesn't feel so far away. The clay tablet is simply her canvas. The stylus is her instrument. The temple is the complicated institution within which she lived. Political upheaval is the world changing without asking permission. Inanna is the vastness into which Enheduanna pours questions too large for ordinary conversation. And Enheduanna herself, a woman attempting to make meaning from the life she was actually given. That's why she belongs at the beginning of the second gate. Not because she supposedly had all the answers, but because somewhere very early in recorded human history, we encounter a woman's voice doing something we are still doing today: feeling, thinking, questioning, creating, and attempting to turn lived experience into something another consciousness can receive. Perhaps her remembrance line should become even simpler now. Enheduanna, the voice that crossed time. Do not merely survive what happens to you. Listen for what it teaches you. Give that understanding a form and release it into the world. And 4,000 years later, here we are receiving it. So I'll leave it right there. That was our first goddess, our first human. It says it doesn't want to call it goddesses, but to me, when you go through the human experience, you become something other than human at the end of all this. So goddess sounds perfect to me. We're all goddesses. Layla, you're a goddess. Mary Jo, you're a goddess. Starling, you're the Jamaican goddess. Julie Bop, you're the grand goddess. Flo Jo, beautiful cooking goddess. Serenity, badass goddess. We're all goddesses. Violet Crow, everybody. Goddess in your own right. So I like the start with Enheduanna. Like I said, I'm gonna really make sure it stays simple for the next couple goddesses. But I loved her message. The one that stuck with me was feeling is not the enemy of authority. You could stand in your authority as a woman and still be in your feelings. It's just how you alchemize the ones that are hard to deal with. Her message is take everything you've experienced, give it shape, give it form. So write it, paint it, craft it, garden it, do something with the experiences you've had. Leave the wisdom of it behind. That's the Nana Buluku saying release it. Take it from out inside of you where you've been burying it deep. So sing, create music, write poetry, give your inner thoughts a voice. Do something with your experience and your pain and your trauma and your loss and your achievements and your success. Maybe you write a book. Maybe you write a comic. Whatever you create, leave the wisdom of the experience behind so that somebody else, 4,000 years from now, might be saying, hey, who is this Mary Jo? Who's this Violet Crow? Who's this Starling? Because you never know. If you believe in reincarnation, you might come back and read your own work. Isn't that funny? So it's not necessarily that you might be leaving your stuff behind for anybody else. You might be leaving it behind for you. You may be reading a work that you wrote thousands of years ago in another life. That's why it resonates. Right? So I love that start. Absolutely. All right. Let's get on out of here. But before we do, I got only 3 decks. I got it till me bring out 3. Yes. Antonia says our very own notes. So yeah, Antonia. So you make shirts, you dance on your YouTube. Like I said, there's nothing we put on the internet that's just staying here. So who knows where this transmission is going? When you create anything and then you give it, you don't know where it ends up, how far reaching it can be. So just create, and use all your feelings to do it. First deck, Beyond Lemuria. Julie Bob says, Kay, you have the talent to deliver in order for us to comprehend. Great job. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mama. Power of love. Goddesses, gods, and guardians. Yes. So create content. I'm going to show these again, but let me say this real quick. This is some other messages I was getting. Just show up for people. You don't have to have the whole thing planned out and perfect. Sometimes when we're in a funk and the news and the world feels heavy, and I just filled up my truck today, and I tell you, I felt that heaviness in the gas prices. So sometimes when we're in those spaces where we're having trouble getting ourselves out of it, we need to turn to other voices that can embody joy and love at that time. If I'm able to have joy on Tuesday, I'm sharing my joy with you on Tuesday because you might need some of that boost for Wednesday. So just show up. Your content doesn't have to be structured, perfect, because we're just exchanging vibes. And sometimes people just need to see you and hear you, even if you ain't got nothing to talk about. Eventually, it'll get somewhere, right? All right, let's see. One of the last two for me. Okay, let me write this down. So, Layla, you want power of love or God and goddesses? Who else? Oh, yeah. Okay, you put it there. Julie Bop wants power of love. Flo. Violet Crow. Power of love. Oh, everybody wants some power of love today, huh? All right, let's go. Layla. I'm gonna go with this one for you. Layla, Layla, Layla. Oh, baby. Come on, universe. Give us something good. Give us something good. Mary Jo says, yeah, no editing on my channel. Absolutely. Yeah, dead the editing. We just need to see each other as we are right now. All right. Layla. Beautiful Layla. Goddess Layla. Very sharp, yes. Hecate. Past life healing. And look at that moon. Triple moon goddess, Hecate, past life healing. Got the throat chakra. Let's see. Let's see, Miss Hecate. There we go. Takes off so I can read. Hecate, past life healing. Layla, it's safe to speak. Set your inner witch free. Hecate's origins lie in the Neolithic goddess cultures throughout Turkey, Bulgaria, and North Africa. To the ancient Greeks, she was a sorceress, queen of the underworld, and guardian of the crossroads. On the night of a new moon, food would be left for Hecate at the intersections of three roads, the Trivia. Her symbols are the black crow, a cauldron of light, a key, a dagger, and a rope. When the queen of the witches shows up, it's highly significant. You're ready to confront, work through, and permanently heal age-old soul trauma arising from the historic persecution of feminine healers of any gender. What? Come on. Layla, you're ready to confront, work through, and permanently heal age-old trauma arising from the historic persecution of feminine healers of any gender. You've previously lived through events such as the witch hunts of the European Middle Ages, and it's left painful scars. You have wondrous spiritual gifts to share with the world, yet they've been buried under rocks of fear. You carry past life memories of being banished for your goddess-centered role as a wise one, witch, shaman, healer, or midwife. This old fear is very controlling and convinces you to remain silent and suppressed in this life. But it's time to dissolve the chains, untie the ropes, and acknowledge the wounds and unblock the throat chakra. Remembering the lifetimes in which you were persecuted for your spiritual power can be painful, but this is a healing process. Past life regression, breathwork therapy, and intuitive sessions can all help. Every step you take to speak your truth and reveal your wisdom, the more inner freedom you'll experience. Every step you take to speak your truth and reveal your wisdom, the more inner freedom you'll experience. It's safe to express your real voice, and your divine feminine energy is stronger than your fear. Here's the additional meanings. Your throat chakra needs support to clear and heal. Learn about Wicca or rituals to awaken your inner witch or wise one. You're in a liminal phase of a process or the crossroads. Be patient. The new path is soon to be revealed. Consult with a female elder or person who embodies Hecate's wisdom. Here's the invocation. Hecate, I pour all my fears of being visible into your cauldron of light. It's safe to speak and reveal my truth. Hecate, I pour all my fears of being visible into your cauldron of light. It's safe to speak and reveal my truth. Hecate, I pour all my fears of being visible into your cauldron of light. It's safe to speak and reveal my truth. Damn, Queen of Witches showed up for you. Ooh, nice. Very nice. Wow. Lila says you can't make this up. Exactly why I was called to do my 30-day devotion to speak my truth from the heart. I just love this so much. Powerful confirmation. Yeah, man. That was fire. That was nice. That was nice. Layla. Julie Bop is next with Power of Love. Mm. Can't wait to see how these ones go from here. Power of Love for Julie Bop. Power of Love. Power of Love. It's a soft yes. I'll put that as a maybe. This one flipped out with a definite yes. Joy. You delight in the love of life and bring a spirit of fun to all that you do. Joy. Let's see. Let's see what it says. Hold on. Let's take these glasses off. Joy. You delight in the love of life and bring a spirit of fun to all that you do. Joy is born of living in happiness, grace, and gratitude. Happiness, grace, and gratitude. It is the celebration of life and your own role in it. Part of your soul makeup is having the keen awareness that you are full of abundance and are most fulfilled when you serve others. Indeed, when you are in touch with your divine self, you want to share this celebratory feeling with everyone you encounter. In tune with the vibration of joy, you are content, serene, and full of incredible spiritual confidence. Once you realize that the hardest lessons on earth serve your highest good, you get a glimpse of true joy waiting in the wings. You can move forward with your life, recognizing that so-called struggles really just arise so that you can conquer them and come through the experience triumphant. Arise so that you can conquer them and come through the experience triumphant of your actions. Wow. That's in line with what we're talking about. That's a nice one. Delight in the love of life and bring a spirit of fun to all you do. And when you feel that good feeling, this is when Julie Bop tends to make sorrel, banana bread, chicken soup, and then she serves others, especially your hungry daughter. Now this is the one now that I said maybe, soft maybe. Freedom. You are releasing any self-imposed restrictions or perceived limitations through the loving energy of openness. So these were your cards. Joy and freedom. That's beautiful. That's a nice one, Julie Buck. You know, me and my mom, we do that. She'll make me some soup. I'll buy her some bread. She'll give me some sorrel. I'll buy her a can of cheese. Exchange. Reciprocity. All right, Flojo, power of love. This is beautiful. That was a beautiful card for Julie Bob. All right. This is for Flo. This is for Flo. Self-love. You realize that love of self is necessary to love another. Wow. And I have a maybe. I'm gonna deep dive into the self-love, and then I'm gonna show you the one that was a soft yes. This one, the self-love was a hard yes. And then you got a soft yes. Let's see the self-love. Self-love. You realize that love of self is necessary to love another. As the old saying goes, you can't love somebody else until you love yourself. It's true. The most important goal you can achieve in this physical dimension is that of loving yourself unconditionally. And it's a tough one. You are the very person who knows your own dark secrets, faults, and shortcomings the best. It's easy to see the good in other people because you don't know anyone but yourself inside and out. Do you really think that you are the only person you know who is not worthy of your love? Do you really think that you are the only person you know who is not worthy of your love? Your soul is perfect. Your human shell is imperfect, and so is everyone else's. The quality of love you give out is only as good as the quality of love you have for yourself. So stop shortchanging the world by not loving yourself with the same intensity you do others. You've made mistakes, but you've learned from them. That's what progress and spiritual evolution is all about. Love your weaknesses as much as your strengths because they are your teachers. Wow. Stop shortchanging the world by not loving yourself with the same intensity you do others. You've made mistakes, but you've learned from them. That's what progress and spiritual evolution are all about. Love your weaknesses as much as your strengths because they are your teachers. That was a nice one. I'll put this one up so maybe you can screenshot it and read it. If you want to screenshot that, and there we go. Oh no, wait. The first one was, don't forget this big page. This is the little page. That's the first one for you. Okay. And I have to flip it here. There we go. Oh, that was a nice one. Very, very nice. She said, wow. Julie Bob says, Flo, love yourself like you love pie pie. Yay. Hey, Tiffany Soulbird. You came just in time for a card. Flo, here is the soft yes that I picked up. Humility. You have developed the loving awareness that you and everyone else are the same, but on different paths. So you have self-love. Let me move this into the front. Oh, Lord, look at me. You have self-love and humility. Those came up for you together. Very, very, very nice. All right, so Mary Jo, I got God, goddesses, guardians, and Violet Crow, I got power of love. Tiffany Soulbird, let me show you what I got if you want a card. I have power of love. I have Beyond Lemuria. And I have goddesses, gods, and guardians. So anybody who wants a card, let me know if I didn't get you. And then power of love. All right. Next, we have Mary Jo with gods, goddesses, and guardians. All right. All right, Tiffany. I see you. I remember. I remember Tiffany. But Mary Jo, beautiful Mary Jo, goddess Mary Jo, with the hair of wisdom. You carry your wisdom in your hair, Mary Jo. Yes. Kane, life force, energy. Mhm. See, I've never pulled that card before. Never. Let's see what Kane has to say. Can't see nothing. Let me take this off. Kane, hydrate and nourish your body. Good health is returning. Kane is a major Hawaiian god of fresh water, or Wai, the creative energy source of all life. A revered ancestor who once walked the terrain of Hawaii, Kane cracked open the rocks to bring forth pure water springs from deep inside the land. Hawaiians hold great respect for this god, who provides the physical and spiritual life force energy to sustain them. It's believed that gods, or akua, take many forms, such as plants, animals, or natural symbols. These various bodies are called kinalau and give people food, raw materials, medicine, and ceremonial objects. Kane has numerous kinalau, including plants, Hawaiian owls, and coral, but his most important forms are fresh water and sunlight. Rainbows are his sacred sign. Bursting with vitality, Kane comes with a simple message. Mary Jo, your body would benefit from drinking more fresh water and eating nutrient-rich foods. Kane doesn't come to judge or lecture you about your dietary choices. He invites you to stand beneath his waterfall, soak up his rainbow colors, and tune into your body's real needs. Your spirit needed a reminder about cultivating true health and life force energy, Kane says, smiling widely. Every drop of water or morsel of food contains a living consciousness and vibrational power. The way to optimum health now is to open your heart. Feed your body with loving awareness rather than with criticism or self-loathing. Celebrate your food. Savor the colors, the taste, the textures, and give thanks to the creative source of the universe for sustaining you. Life is a joy when you see the sacred energy within everything. Additional meanings. Your purpose is connected to food and nutrition. Grow your own produce. Limit your consumption of junk food. This is a positive message about healing from an eating disorder. Give to clean water and or food charities. Here's the invocation. I'm in tune with my body's needs. I'm full of energy. I am in tune with my body's needs. I am full of energy. I am in tune with my body's needs. I am full of energy. Now, Mary Jo, was it you that said you was eating the ice cream? The universe just said, bop, bop, clean up your diet. That's a nice. We just bragged about eating ice cream. And the universe said, all right, that's why I brought that ice cream truck over here to deliver Mary Jo a message. Deliver Mary Jo a message. Clean it up. That's funny. And Antonia one's beyond Lemurian. Can't make this up. See, even when I thought that extreme truck was twins, it actually came with a message. All right, next we have Violet Crow. Violet Crow, beautiful goddess Violet Crow. Violet Crow, Violet Crow. What message for you? No. This one. Through the power of love, you release any stagnant situations or energy in order to transform your heart space. And while I was shuffling, I was hearing your family, something going on with your family. They say you'll know what that is. And then this came out. It's like I see you standing outside the circle of your family, like a feeling like you're on the outskirts of them, either with your understanding or how you perceive or past hurt, but there's an emotional feeling of distance. So there's something around this distance that you feel. All right, let's see. Let's see. The past for Violet Crow. Through the power of love, Violet Crow, you release any stagnant situations or energy in order to transform your heart space. The past is done, and the future is yet to be. All you have is the now, and the past is your greatest teacher. Here comes this message with the lessons again. Everything that has happened up until this moment is the product of the person you see in the mirror. That is why the power of now is so important. Only in the present do you have the opportunity to create both your past and your future. Always be mindful of your present moment thoughts, because in seconds, now will be your past, which you cannot get back. You don't want the past to steal your future, and the bridge between the two is the present. Begin to live in the present time, and always remember that through loving, compassionate thoughts and actions, you are creating a past that you can be proud of and a bright future that awaits. You don't want the past to steal your future, and the bridge between the two is the present. Begin to live in present time, and always remember that through loving, compassionate thoughts and actions, you are creating a past that you can be proud of and a bright future that awaits. Nice. Beautiful. She says, I've been in a weird space since my mom died. Both of my parents are now gone, so it's a strange reality for me. Yeah, I can't even begin to imagine that. Yeah, because it can feel like abandonment, loneliness. Abandonment isn't always intentional. Sometimes people pass on and we can still feel abandoned. So I'm sending you lots of love, lots of healing. And maybe the perspective of the previous goddesses. I can't remember which goddess it was, where it says something to the effect of, whoever our parents were or our mothers were, they don't have to be physically with us, but we can still live in the energy of who they were. So, what is it about your parents that you still embody that you can carry into this now moment so they can still be present with you? What is the essence of your mother, the essence of your father that is combined within you when you look in the mirror that you can appreciate? And by appreciating it within yourself, you're still appreciating them and keeping them alive in a way that is elevating for your soul, if that makes sense. You're very welcome, Violet Girl. That was so tender. It was very tender. It's like I felt like I saw you like a little girl, just like this. It's like I saw this group or this circle of people and this feeling of loneliness and being on the outside, just a sense of looking and yearning for a connection. So maybe find a way to honor a present day connection with them so that they're not gone, because something about them lives within you. And when you appreciate it within you, you're appreciating it within them. Love to you, Violet Crow. Not to love. Ooh, that was so touching. Throat chakras. You feel that ball in your throat. Man. But it's good though. We don't heal from that. We don't heal from that. All right, next. Tiffany Soulbird. God, goddesses, and guardians. Tiffany, 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 Tiffany. Tiffany. Beautiful Tiffany. How goes the job hunting, Tiffany? You taking a break or you actively hunting? This one for you. Mary Magdalene. Sacred marriage. Never pulled this card either. She carries a beautiful serenity. Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene. There you go. The Tiffany Soulbird. Tiffany, you are your own twin flame. Spiritual wholeness leads to new experiences of intimacy and love. Mary Magdalene was the author of a gospel and chief apostle to the disciples. She has roots in Gnosticism, where she's worshipped as an aspect of the Holy Sophia. Her Ankh pendant signifies her role as priestess of the Egyptian goddess Isis. Mary holds the Shekinah flame, the feminine aspect of God. She presides over the twin flame union, a self-acknowledgement journey that brings higher consciousness to partnerships. The Temple of Magdalene is a space for deep spiritual and sexual healing. Your soul has an ancient connection to this temple, and memories of the twin flame union are now being stirred. As you awaken the holiest feminine and masculine energies inside your heart, you'll be working deeply on yourself and awakening to your soul's light. This process can span many years. Your healing journey is about becoming whole. All your life, you've been preparing to create a relationship that reflects that inner wholeness. It's not a partnership based on image-driven ideals of perfection, nor is it based on patching up each other's wounds. It's a conscious relationship in which both people take responsibility for their own lives and soul growth. Mary says, before you can experience sacred marriage with another, you need to come home to your own inner twin flames. She gives you a red rose, her symbol of the beloved, to signify that you're choosing the sacred marriage inside yourself first. In perfect timing, you'll merge with a partner who reflects your own completeness. Trust that your heart knows what it's doing to build a synergetic experience of true love that leads the world to higher consciousness. Here's the additional meanings. You're a powerful spiritual teacher with a message to bring the Shekinah, the feminine force of divinity, to humanity. Let me say that again. You're a powerful spiritual teacher with a mission to bring the Shekinah, the feminine force of divinity, to humanity. Clear the vibrational imprint of past lovers through energy work. You need to clear out the mexes. Work on your relationship in couples therapy, or incorporate sacred ritual into your love life. Here's the invocation. I am whole and complete. I am ready to create a sacred experience of intimacy. I am whole and complete. I am ready to create a sacred experience of intimacy. I am whole and complete. I am ready to create a sacred experience of intimacy. And that intimacy starts with your own connection to yourself. Beautiful. Beautiful. That was nice. And Sober said, oh, Mary Magdalene, I love it. And here goes Starling with her messy self. Ooh, child. You know, all she heard was the intimacy sex. She ain't hear none of the part. How about merging your twin flame? Oh, let me stop. Oh my God. Antonia, you want to be beyond Lemuria. Starling said, all I heard was sex. Got it. I don't need to hear nothing else. Oh, oh man. All right. Antonia. Tiffany Sober said, thank you so much. I was just dealing with an ex today, girl. See, look at that. I talked to my spirit guides about my twin flame, and I'm told I'm not going to meet him this year, so I'll stop asking. Well, look, now you got some more instructions on how to bring him to you, right? Understand that intimacy with yourself first, and then once you are complete, you're no more. Goddess says you ain't got time to fix up nobody. Everybody better meet you whole and ready so we can get these divine unions, right? And get them going. Okay. Antonia, no more delay. Antonia. Mm-hmm. Manifestia. She says, you can decide how you want to live. The universe fully supports your choice to step into the optimal version of yourself. Dream big, then dream bigger. Now is a great time to start the projects you have been considering. All it takes is some pollination. Be creative with your visioning. Sow the seeds of the reality you want to experience through affirmative thinking and higher intention. Then anchor or ground your dream seeds. Manifest from the heart, overcome fear, take strong positive action, and let go of the outcome. Know and trust your dreams are already on their way and expect to see results. Beautiful. If you want to screenshot that. And let's look at that beautiful card again. Look at where all those seeds are in her mind. And it's like she's just surrounded by everything she's creating, thinking. We got the passion flower, stars, all these different, it's like you're working on a lot of different things all at once, and you're having all the energy around you that's pollinating them and making them come to life. Just let go of the fear and let go of the need to control the outcome, because it's already happening for you. Sonia said, pretty card. Yay, thank you. That's exactly how I am feeling. Oh, that's nice. Beautiful. That's good. I love all these cards for you guys, man. So we had Layla, we had Julie Bob, Flo, Mary Jo, Violet Crow, Tiffany Soulbird, Antonia. Am I missing anybody? Starling, did I read for you, Starling? Did you pick a card? I can't remember. Starling, if I'm missing you, let me know. Yeah, you. Which one you want? You want Moria? God's guardians? Or do you want Power of Love? Of course you do. All right, let's do Power of Love for Starling. Starling. That is Starling. Harmony. You are able to feel a loving, balanced connection with everything. Let's read what that's all about. Harmony. Harmony says, you are able to feel a loving, balanced connection with everything. When you sit in stillness, satisfied that your soul is on the right path and that everything is right in your world, even for a moment, it is a true gift, one you have created for yourself. Let me read that again. When you sit in stillness, satisfied that your soul is on the right path and that everything is right in your world, even for a moment, it is a true gift, one you have created for yourself. Feeling balanced and harmonious on this earth's plane is very difficult, and when it happens, your spirit soars. Yet, It takes work on your part. But that's what you signed up for when you agreed to incarnate here. Creating order in this tumultuous physical dimension is like walking a tightrope. Your constant awareness is on keeping your balance while dealing with the obstacles in your path. The good news is that the more you practice, the easier it becomes. If something within your being is out of balance, it will come to the surface of your awareness to give you the opportunity to be explored further and understood more deeply. If something within your being is out of balance, it will come to the surface of your awareness to give you the opportunity to be explored further and understood more deeply. Realize that some things that might upset your equilibrium originate from outside you and are beyond your control. But you do have control over the inner self. Always remember to approach life with an attitude of love, compassion, and empathy. When you are at peace with yourself, it is easier to be at peace with everything else. Realize that some things that might upset your equilibrium originate from outside you and are beyond your control. But you do have control over the inner self. Always remember to approach life with an attitude of love, compassion, and empathy. When you are at peace with yourself, it is easier to be at peace with everything else. Harmonize that inner world and be in balance. Starling says that's what I'm working on, trying to find my balance all while not stressing. Message received. Yay! These cards was hitting today. You're welcome, Starling. Am I missing anybody? I'm not missing anybody. I'm going to pull a card for myself. Beyond the Lemuria. Let's see. Message for me. Message for me. Come on. Twice I saw this one. So I'm just going to take it. It landed on the top of the deck twice. This is what it looks like. Radiant illumination, solar plexus chakra. And it's so funny because I've been having daytime visions of swirling fire and energy in the belly. My guides have been telling me you got to let your solar got to burn. It's got to burn with energy. It's got to be in shape. You have to be able to flex the muscles because you churn your magic from there. You ever have, they call it a gut feeling. The gut holds a lot of feeling. And feeling is your power. It's the ingredients for your magic. So when you ever hear news or something and you feel like you took a hit to the gut, or you think of certain things from your past and you feel it in your stomach, you're supposed to visualize churning that emotion, turning it into fire, into like a fire-breathing dragon, swirl it in the solar plexus. And when you breathe with the breath and you pulse that power all throughout your body, it becomes something you can tangibly use. And it becomes a chi, an energy force that you can project from your hands. This is the advanced state of this. But you start off with feeling where energy is in your body. The gut is the engine. It's where all your magic and emotions churn. If you can alchemize from there, you can direct the energy anywhere in your body. You know who does that very well? Babies. That's why when a baby grips your finger, they're so strong, because they learn how their belly breathing. Babies belly breathe. So they know how to channel solar plexus energy and direct it into a grip. So they're showing you how you can direct your energy and power. Let me read this. Solar plexus chakra, radiant illumination. The solar plexus chakra is the radiant center of your being. It holds the vibrant spark that brings your passions to life. Enter this space to step away from playing small, unworthiness, the idea that you are taking up space, and insecurity-based competitiveness. So enter this space to step away from playing small, unworthiness, the idea that you are taking up space, and insecurity-based competitiveness. Allow yourself to be attuned to the abundant life force that resides at your center, and be energized, motivated, and fueled with inspiration. Bring forth more of what you wish to birth into the world. As you discover a deep and real sense of self-empowerment, you can confidently lift others in celebration, harmonizing differences and shifting hierarchical paradigms into collective co-creation. What? As you discover a deep and real sense of self-empowerment, you can confidently lift others in celebration. We don't have to compete. I ain't got to be jealous, because nobody can do it like me, and nobody can do it like you. So what are we competing for? Harmonizing differences and shifting hierarchical paradigms. All of what's existing now, the hierarchy, we're shifting all of that into collective co-creation. That's a nice card. The power is in your belly. So if you've been slacking on your abs, or if you're going to work out and you want to develop anything, I guarantee you the best part of your body that you should start with is the core, because the core is going to stabilize and strengthen everything else. So if you're working out, don't prioritize the arms and the legs and the butt and the thighs and the shoulders and the calves and everything else. Always work your core, especially if you intend to wield magic, because all of your magical powers churn from there. That was a nice message. I like that one. All right, y'all. We're done. I found my glasses. Tiffany Sober says, I really need to meditate more on that dragon energy. And yes, I'll get back to Pilates. Yep. Strengthen your core. Do those planks. Let the core burn. Be comfortable with the burn that comes from working your abs. Because when you tap into your magic and you wield your energy there, you're gonna feel that same burn. That's when you know it's working. Starling says, when you breathe from your belly, the breath release is really warm, almost hot. Absolutely. And a lot of us, I do it when I carry anxiety or I'm having anxiety, I'm breathing from my chest. So my breathing is shallow because I'm not expanding into the belly. So I'm chest breathing. When you chest breathe a lot, your brain is starving for oxygen. And when your brain starves for oxygen, it sends anxiety to the body. It's almost the same feeling as drowning, where if you're drowning, your body will go into a state of anxiety because it needs air. So when you shallow breathe, because we're used to being in a hyperactive state. Like if you had to look at your grocery bill, you might start shallow breathing. If something on your car needs repair and they tell you how much it costs, you probably gonna hyperventilate. So when we get used to that state of being stressed and breathing from a state of stress, we don't oxygenate the body fully because we're not belly breathing. The brain then becomes starved for oxygen and it sends all the signal to panic. So now we're constantly in a state of anxiety when that deep belly breathing would relax the brain. The brain would send all the signals to the body that you're in a healthy, happy state, calm down, there's enough oxygen for everybody, and you reduce anxiety. Breathing is very important. Ah, Tiffany says, I really need to meditate more on the dragon energy. Yes, I'll get back to Pilates. Yeah, I read that. Starling says, K, but I love a lot of booty in my pants. You can keep it. Just work on the front and let the back do what it do. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. I've been on here almost 3 hours. Whoop-de-doo. All right, guys. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Julie Bop, I look forward to your generosity by way of a nice meal. All right, I appreciate you being generous ahead of time. Thank you, Starling, Tiffany Soulbird, Layla, Mary Jo, Antonia, Flo, Serenity, Julie Bop, Violet Crow. Who else am I missing? Wade. You're out there watching, my brother. We're sending you love always. Charles, Candy, Deli, Dex, Fancy Friends, Arlene. Big up yourself and stay safe out there, guys. Okay? There's a lot going on with the earth doing its thing. Mother Nature always has the last word. No matter how much we think we're in control of anything, she's always the reminder that we ain't shit without her in balance. And if she's not happy, ain't nobody gonna be happy. So, because we are looped, because we are connected, stay in joy. Stay in joy so that your energy can affect the earth and the people who need to pull from it. Because with that really bad flooding in Nepal, when those people are now in despair and they're trying to pull on energy to just make it through another day because everything they have is gone. And just that quick, everything is gone. Home, farm, food, loved ones, everything they cherished and hold dear, sacred books, family memories, gone. When they need to pull on some energy to find strength, to find joy, to find purpose, to move on, because we're all connected, what we give off as that energy is available to them. So sometimes being in fear and despair with someone, it doesn't help them. That's not the energy they need. So wherever this isn't your reality and you can create joy, create it. Because that is sent out into the world and they can feel that and pull from that for their strength. So be in joy for them. Live your life for them. Experience happiness and love for them. And for anybody who needs it. All right? We produce energy for each other. And let's produce something they can use. So thank you. That's it. I'll hop off my soapbox today. And take care, everyone. I love you. I appreciate you. And if you're catching me on the replay, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll talk to you later. Bye. Give y'all a little time to finish your last little writings before I click off, but stay in love, stay grounded, practice love, practice humility, practice harmony. The world needs it, and just show up however you are, however you want to present your experiences, however you want to leave your mark. Just show up. You never know who's going to tune into you and find inspiration for the day. Okay? Let's show up for each other. Yolanda Marie, thank you. I love and appreciate you. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.